Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Segal SE19726. Here is the lock body of the lock. You can see that it's a double cylinder deadbolt, brushed brass finish. So because you're looking at the inside portion of the lock, this is a cylinder in lieu of a thumb turn. That makes it a double cylinder. Okay, let's get a good look at this lock body. It's non-handed. You can install it for doors that would swing, in that way, or of course in that way, no problem. Okay, show you the rest of the components. After that, it's going to come the exterior rim cylinder, and that rim cylinder is going to feature rim cylinder, cylinder collar. It's going to go like that. Okay. Two Segal keys and a standard Segal keyway, SE1 keyway, I think is what they call that. This is a typical rim cylinder, so you could swap it out with a cylinder of a different keyway if you wanted. But keep in mind the inside cylinder is still Segal. Very smooth operation because of its brass construction. Very nice and smooth operation. Okay. You're going to get a flat strike plate. Showing to you here. In this model, the SE19726, part of that part number means you're going to get a flat strike, which is mortise to the face of the frame. You're going to get a backer plate, which I'll show you what that's for in a moment. This lock even features an inside mortise cylinder mounting plate, which you don't need because of the backer plate, and I'll show you why. You're going to get a bunch of screws. You're going to get a bunch of screws for holding the lock body on, and there's 8 of them in there. 4 of them are a standard number 2 Phillips drive. There's another 4 in there that are one-way slotted screws, security screws. Talk about that at the end. You get screws for the strike, a bunch of short, flathead little screws. Sorry, you can't see that very well. I can hardly see it. Okay. Then you're going to get 2 screws for holding the rim cylinder on. There's a link below this video to the instructions. And let's go over those now. Well, you know what? Before we do that, let's go over just some basic dimensions of the lock body itself. Overall height of the lock body, about 2 15/16. Okay. Overall width of the lock body, it's about 4 9/16. Thickness of the lock body, about 1 1/16. This lock itself, the lock with its constituent parts, weighs over 2.5 pounds. It's a substantial piece of machinery right here. It's a heavy lock. A lot of people like them because they're tried and true. The strike, dimensionally, about 4 1/8 inches tall, and about 1 1/16 or so wide. It's fairly thick. It's close to 3/16 thick. It's a substantial amount of bronze material. Yeah. Okay, so the link below this, there is a link below this video to the instructions, and we're going to go over them. Not really in depth, but at least give you an overview of what's involved before you make a decision to purchase the lock. It's one of those instruction sheets that have 2 sides to it. So you got all this to contend with, and you got all that to contend with. But the bottom line is, this is a really easy lock to install. I've installed these a lot, and they're easy to install. First of all, the top, the instructions are the obligatory, here's what you're going to need list, tools, regular kind of stuff, and you can view that at your leisure what you'll need before that. Breaking off the tailpiece chart, which means the tailpiece is of a sufficient length to do doors that are significantly thicker than standard, go up to 2 3/8. Typical doors are 1 3/4, so you're going to have to cut this tailpiece down no matter what. It's very easy. You know, it'd be nice if you were to put it into a fixture. It's not going to allow it to put any stress on it, maybe into a small work vise or something of that nature, and slowly file that down or grind or cut it, or even if you had an air tool, you could zip it down pretty quickly. Now moving on, once you've got your tailpiece, you know, you've looked at that, you've got steps 1 through 4. They're very easy. Here's the bottom line. Step 1, and I've installed these enough that I kind of have them memorized. Step 1 is going to be applying the template to the face of the door. You're physically going to attach this template to the door. You'll have to modify this paperwork in such a way where you can do so, and it's double-sided like that so that you can use it for this hand door or this hand door. The vertical dashed line here is the line that you match up to the edge of the door, the very edge of the door, at whatever height you like. 48 inches is a very typical dimension from the floor to a center line of a deadbolt, but it's up to you where you install it at. But that vertical line, measuring it, attaching it to the edge of the door or getting it lined up there is critical. That's the back set. It's very critical. At that point, you're going to mark 5 holes out of the face of the door with your center punch. The 4 that are called out here, okay, and the 1 that's right here. Okay, use a center punch or some way to securely mark them so that you can see them and work with them. Step 3 at that point is going to be drilling some holes. Step 3 and 4. Step 3 is literally drilling your 1 3/8 hole through the door. You're going to want to drill it straight, you know, drill it maybe from one side till your pilot bit projects out the other side, come around the other side of the door and drill the rest of the hole. It's got to be straight. It's really important. Then with your 1/8 inch bit, you're going to drill pilot holes for those 4 holes there, 3/4 deep. Okay? At that point, you're done with side 1. It's that easy. Going on to side 2. All of these 5 through 7 involve the rim cylinder. You're going to get the rim cylinder length cut properly. You're going to get it through the door. You're going to use your backing plate, however it's going to be. And this is important because at this point, that's how you attach the rim cylinder to through the door. Okay, these 2 holes here line up with the 2 threaded holes, tapped holes in the back side of the cylinder, and you're going to use these 2 breakaway screws to attach it. You might have to cut those down. It's likely that you will. Again, be careful cutting them down. You don't want to bend the screws at all. At that point, you're at step 8, and you're going to physically attach the lock body to the door. Okay? Make sure it's nice and secure. Make sure it works real well. We're really in the home stretch because this is the last part of the instructions. Step 9 is going to be making sure that you have nice free operation. Step 10 is going to be physically screwing the lock down to the body of the door. And of those 8 screws, those 4 Phillips drive, use those first for sure. Don't use your one-way screws. Not yet, and maybe not at all. Step 11 is going to be getting the frame strike located on the frame, close the door, and mark your locations for the strike. You're going to want to make sure that the lock body and this all line up how you want it. Operate the lock inside, outside, make sure everything is nice and smooth. You want the bolts to actually work in that lock. Now, I didn't show you that. Nice smooth operation on that. Okay, you see the bolts up and down there. Okay, that's how those work. Really nice secure situation. Once you know you've got the strike located where you want it, you know, keep in mind mortising it will be important at that juncture as well, and then physically attaching it to the frame with these short screws. At that point, you have a working lock. Now, if you were to desire it, you could remove a Phillips screw and replace it, or replace more than one with those one-way screws. And if you're in a situation where someone could tamper with the lock, and a double cylinder means someone might be able to reach around and get to it, or you've got glass on a door, and you want to prevent someone from just removing the lock with a screwdriver, you could use those. But keep in mind, those screws make it an extremely labor-intensive project to remove them from the door. They do not come out with a screwdriver. They're one-way slotted screws, and that screwdriver will just slip off the head of them no matter what you try. And you'd have to drill those screws out is the bottom line. So if you expect to ever need to remove it from the door, don't use those. That's the bottom line. But if you think someone will, by all means, go for it. At that point, you're done. You're good to go. This lock is easily installed. Really nice operation on Segals. You know, a lot of people like Segal locks, owned by a company called Primeline. Segal locks, I have seen them installed and successfully working after several decades of use. The system that they have now is the same lock body footprint that I've seen and worked on for all of my 2-decade plus career, and at that point they were probably 50 years old as well. This, you know, you can rekey these. A locksmith can rekey these. That's not a problem as well, but they are the Segal keyway. Segal has these in single cylinder, double cylinder, brass finish, satin chrome finish, even talk of oil rub bronze, flat strikes like these, angle strikes as well, and a variety of different accessories as well. Any questions on the Segal SE19726, double cylinder, brushed brass, flat strike, surface mount deadbolt, or any other Segal product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.